Go!
So LinkedIn is one of the best tools that a business owner has for marketing, but it's underutilised purely because people either don't know what they're doing with it, they don't know what to post, or they just don't know how to write. But you really shouldn't underestimate the power of it, because you can do a lot with it. I found this quote by Forbes, technology doesn't work, about why you should be using LinkedIn exactly. It says LinkedIn is a great venue for interacting and building relationships with prospects, customers, partners and vendors. It's a chance for businesses to show their human side in a professional setting. Now anyone who spent 5 minutes with me at all will know that I'm really hot on storytelling, because it helps you come over as being human. So let's move on. Go, back on my way. There we go. So why LinkedIn? So I just wanted to show you the LinkedIn numbers so you can kind of see what you're missing out on if you're not using it. So it's got 1 billion members worldwide, 67 million company pages worldwide. Of that, 38 million members in this country, 48% of the UK population has a LinkedIn profile. And it's also the most used social networking, most used social network by business-to-business decision makers in the UK. My question to you is, if you're not on LinkedIn, not actively using it, can you really afford not to use it? So next I was going to do a little LinkedIn tour, which I'm hoping is going to work, because I'm going to take you into my personal LinkedIn to show you kind of a few features. But before I do, can I just check how many of you, by show of hands, have got a LinkedIn account profile? Right, and is that a personal? If it's a personal, keep your hand up. How many of you have a business account as well? Okay, brilliant. Put your hands down. So I'm just going to put on some more. So with LinkedIn, you have options of a standard profile, which is the free one, which I use. There's also a premium version as well. So it's up to you whether you have the standard or the premium. You end up paying, I think it's £75 a month for the premium, and it includes lead generation capabilities. So if you want to use LinkedIn purely as a database for people to contact, that's purely what LinkedIn Premium is for. However, if you're quite happy with organic, so free use, then the standard version will suit you fine. So I'm just going to go into a few other things. Do you need a professional page, or is a personal account enough? Because I think quite a few people probably have personal and business, and then they're not quite sure what they're supposed to be posting on which. And that's if you need them both in the first place. So I would say if you are a personal brand, as in it's just you, you're self-employed, it's just you yourself now, you'll probably be fine with just doing it in your own name and not needing a business account. But I would also say, if you are a team, there's 3 or 4 of you, a couple of you might be interested in posting, that's when a business account will come in handy. Now I've got a business account, but I tend to find I don't really use it, because I always post just in my own name, and I am technically my brand, although I have Vale Digital officially as the business. Other than it being on my business cards and my banner, which I've left in my car, I don't really use it. So, and marketing is purely about making things as simple as possible, so don't overcomplicate things. So don't do more than you need to, basically. So what other features have we got? So we've got your posts, you can do up to 3,000 characters there. You then have articles. You can write an article, and then so if you've got a blog that you post on your website, you can also share it here. There's also a button in there that will allow you can click into, and it will allow you, under the manage button I think it is, to add SEO options, which basically means if you put little descriptions in about what your headline is, what your article's about, your article could potentially show up on Google. So whereas a lot of other social media isn't searchable by Google search engines, LinkedIn is, LinkedIn articles are. So it could help you get found. You also have LinkedIn groups. A bit like Facebook groups, they don't seem to have taken off in the same way that Facebook groups have done, but they are there. We've also got the LinkedIn news. This is quite a good place to go for trending topics. So this is all the things that are trending today. So I sometimes do talk about AI a little bit because it does relate to marketing. So it's quite often interesting to go in here, find some interesting topics, and you can add some comments, or you can share these posts and add to them. So that's something if it's relevant to your industry. You also have, you might have seen collaborative articles show up. They sometimes show up in the main feed. So if I scroll down, they'd be kind of in the middle here. And it's LinkedIn saying, right, we've got this article. We're looking for experts to contribute to it. We think you're an expert. Can you add a comment? If you add quite a good number of comments, I'm still trying to work out the number, you can become a top voice, which means that when people read that article, they see you, but also they see that you're an expert, and that can also give you a bit of a boost. We've also on the right, if I scroll down a little bit, you can also see, like, so here's the groups here. You also have events, so you can also see events, so you can put events on here. So if you hold an event, you can add it on, and then you can do it here. There are hashtags you can follow if you want to follow certain things that are interesting to your industry. Okay, also another thing that I think is quite helpful to see is that you can save posts. There's an option to save posts, but I think a lot of people save things and then they forget where they are. And you can go into this button here, My Items. If you go into there, you can see a list of everything that's been saved. So I know I'm terrible at that. I save things and then I can't find the button on LinkedIn as to where have I actually saved this content. So that's there as well. Okay. I think that's the main thing I was going to cover. Let me just go back into the presentation. How am I doing for time, Sue?
About 5 minutes.
Right, so the next thing I'm going to is profile. I'm not going to go into this in a lot of depth. There is so much information out there about profiles and what to put into them. You can watch entire hour-long videos on YouTube. I went to a talk the other day and they did 45 minutes purely on what to put in your profile. Very interesting, but I think, to be honest, you want to learn a bit more than that. You really want to know how to make the most of it. So I'm just going to cover the basics on this one. So on LinkedIn, you have your headline. That's the little bit of text that appears just under your name and kind of says who you are, what you do. So mine says something like, friendly neighbourhood copywriter using storytelling to help businesses get more clients, or something along that sort of line. So and that headline should state very simply who you are, what you do, and what result you can achieve for people. Now the first 63 characters, and I've counted them so I know this, do show up in the comment section. So if you comment on somebody else's post, below your name it will show those 63 characters. So think very, very, very much about what you're going to put there, because that's what people are going to see when they see your comment. Another comment I want to make is about having photos. There's 2 places to add a photo to your profile. One is your headshot, your main photo. It should be a picture of you looking at the camera without any main distractions. Has anybody here not got a photo on their LinkedIn? May I ask? You put a hand up? Oh good, you've all got them. It's a good idea to have because it's for trust. If people don't know who they're working with, why would they pick you to work with over someone else? Imagine you're a plumber, okay, and say I'm on there and I know that my mum, she needs some work done to her bathroom, and I see a plumber and he's posting some good posts, but there's no picture of him. Am I going to trust that plumber to go into my mum's from a safety issue when I don't even know what he looks like because there's no photo of him on LinkedIn? Or if I have to go off digging, looking for photos. So it's all about building that trust, and having a photo, a recent photo ideally, that's really going to help. And then you've got your About You section. The About You is a place for you to tell people who you are, what you do in a bit more depth. So it's a little bit like your headline, but it gives you the option to go into a lot more information. There's also places to put your experiences here, so it's a bit like a CV, so you can say where you worked, when you worked there, and what you did and your achievements. But I won't go into that. You can see for yourself, it's quite a quick and easy thing to fill in. So that's all I'm going to do this on the profile today. So now I'm going to go into followers and connections. So LinkedIn gives you the option to follow somebody. That's a bit like Instagram or Facebook, where you just sort of follow them and they're kind of there and they're just, you know, going along with you. And connections allows you actually them to connect with you, so you can send each other messages. But if a connection sends a request, you have to give them consent to talk to you. This basically stops all those whether the FedEx people or foreign exchange, people basically contacting you out of the blue to try and sell you stuff you don't need when you don't need them. So it's kind of a layer of protection. So by having, they can still message you if they've got premium, but if they haven't, they can't just go on and pester you. So it just gives you a bit of extra protection. Whether you choose to do, whether you choose to follow somebody or connect with someone, that's completely up to you. I think anyone that I physically know, I would try and connect with. If it's not somebody that I would know, I would probably start following them first. And then if they end up being, you know, an interesting person that I'd like to maybe talk to, then I'd maybe connect later. But that's my personal way, and you might have different views and you can do what you like. It's your account at the end of the day. So who do you follow with? Who do you follow? People that you meet through networking, or connect, people that you met through networking. Look for people who work in your niche. So if you're a printer, look for other people who are in printing. Maybe look at places like the printing companies, like Epson and Hewlett-Packard and all of those sort of places, assuming they will print. Maybe have a look at like places that do the ink. Have a look and see what other people are kind of doing, who they're following. It might also be worth just, you know, maybe following some marketing pages as well, because if you're having trouble with your marketing and struggling, sometimes small businesses will go and follow marketers for tips and advice, but those people might be your target audience too. So that's the other people you need to follow. You need to follow people who are your ideal client. So who is it that you want to work with? So is it schools? Go and follow some schools. Is it charities? Go and find some charities. And also just look in the comments and see who's commenting and what they're commenting about. You can always find quite a few nuggets in the comments as well. And when it comes to connecting, if you're not sure how to connect, send them a nice message, confirm how you met, why do you want to connect. So that first connection message should never be a sale. It should just be a, hi, hello, nice to meet you. We met at non-league networking, really like to connect. Brilliant. Or if it's someone you don't know, hey, I saw your article on XYZ. I thought it was really interesting. I'd like to follow more of your content, interested to learn more. Would love it if you would connect. Keep it short, keep it simple. You can't put much in that box anyway. As I said, if you don't know them, it might be worth following, being a valuable follower for a while. What I mean by that is being someone who engages with their posts, who leaves meaningful comments, who looks like, you know, if you make yourself look like somebody who's worth getting to know, then people are more likely to connect, you know, to accept your connection request. And I can see Steve looking at his watch, so I'm trying to speed through. So, post tips. So when it comes to posting, these are my top tips. Again, this is my personal opinion. It's just what I've seen from what I've been on the platform. You might have different experiences. My advice is if you can post 2 to 3 times a week, do it. Once is better than not at all, to be honest. So if once is all you can do, that's fine. But try and post a good mix of content. So take a selfie here today. Go home and write a post. So I went to non-league networking. This is who I met. I had a really interesting conversation with this person. That could be one post. Another post might be, oh, you know, we've just celebrated our 2nd anniversary, 3rd anniversary today. This is how we're celebrating it. This is what we're doing. You know, you could also talk about, this is where the stories come into it. You know, I can't believe we're here at the 3rd year point because XYZ happened and I never thought we'd get to this point. That can kind of come off as inspirational content, and people like that sort of content. Most of the content where I write sort of to inspire people tends to do better than 10 top tips, you know, for making, you know, doing better on LinkedIn. And it's okay to sell. So if you do want to put a post up where you're saying, buy my products, I've got this, you know, buy my printer, you know, we do printing, come and have a quote with us, we can help you with a printer. That's fine to do that, but make sure it's not every single post. I think it should be, I think someone said if you're posting 7 times a week, maybe 2 of those posts might be sales, 1 or 2. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much should be sales and how much should be sort of stories and content. So I would say 30% selling, 70% content. If you use an image, for some reason LinkedIn loves images. If you put a selfie of yourself on there, the post will perform a lot better than if it's just a text post alone. All the posts that I've had really good reach on, every single one had a selfie. Even though it's more or less the same selfie, it's just me in a different outfit in a different corner of the room, they still, for some reason, have done better than me just sticking text up on the page. So, best thing to do is if you can tell stories, there are so many stories that you will have that you don't even realise it. Every day, keep a story log. It's one of my top tips. Go home and write about something that happened, just in a spreadsheet, one line. Today I went to Normally Networking and this happened. Tomorrow it might be, you know, I got this client and it's a different industry that I've not worked with before. There's so many stories that you don't even realise. Even the conversations you're having around here might inspire a story. What do you post? What the heck do I post? Stories. So, some of the story ideas I've got for you. Your origin story. Why did you start or join your business? That's always a really good one. Your experiences, the highs and the lows. I went through a really rubbish phase at the end of last year and I wrote about it in January. For some reason my business wasn't doing as well. And that was one of my highest sort of reading posts. People liked it, they were inspired. They could relate because they've been through similar things. So writing about, even though you might think writing about your lows could potentially hurt you as a business, that's not necessarily going to be the case. People will respect you for your integrity and your authenticity. So it's definitely, you know, there's no harm in sharing the lows. Don't let it always be a humble brag. Quite often you see people go, oh, I've made 6 figures this year. And you're like, oh, well done, great, that's great. But how long did it take you to get there? You know, you've been at it for 20 years. You know, so just be careful about humble bragging, trying to make it sound like, or trying to sound like you're an overnight success if you're not, because it can almost work against you. There was a crying CEO that went viral last year, I think it was. Some marketing chap laid off loads of people, went on LinkedIn, made a video, cried about it, and all he did was cry about the effect it had on him, not any of the people he laid off. So you can imagine he got completely torn apart on LinkedIn, because he was not doing anything to help the people who were actually affected, and he became a meme, which is not a good thing, not in that state. So look it up, the crying CEO. So anything funny, inspiring or entertaining as well. My son accidentally super glued his fingers together last year, and I wrote a post about it because, you know, content, and it did really well. Poor child, he was messing around with something he shouldn't have been and he can't pay for it. Document your journey, I do a lot of that, so you know what's going on in your life, what are you doing? I went to a selfie workshop yesterday, so I did it on Facebook actually, not LinkedIn, but again it's something people are interested in. Tag the people who are there with you. And customer stories as well. Who are you helping? How have you helped them? What was the result? Why are they still working with you if they're a repeat customer? Share your thoughts, opinions and ideas. So last week was the budget, so if anybody's business was affected by the budget or will be, write about it. I mean, I believe the national insurance rate has gone down to 8% for self-employed people, or will be. So that would affect me. I could technically write about it if I wanted to, whether I will, because it's more marketing. But you know, it's potential, it's something I could write about because it affects me. And you'll have similar things in your industries. So for another example would be fluorescent lighting is being sort of ruled out by the government. So if you're someone who works in the energy sector, or if you're in an office where you've got like that fluorescent lighting, it might be something you want to talk about. Who knows? Show behind the scenes. So let people see the person behind the business. Tips and advice is okay to post. So we have got some tips. I could post my 20 top tips on LinkedIn on there. There's no reason why not. Whether it would necessarily perform very well, who knows? Because educational content doesn't seem to go down quite as well as more storytelling content. Show your values, company values, yourself, your team. So also that would be if you do any work for charity, talk about that. You know, so if everyone walked across hot coal or something, that's definitely something worth sharing. So think about what have you done or heard today that someone might think is interesting. Whatever that thing is, that's worth writing about. So, you know, you go home to your partner and you tell them, oh dear, did you have a good day? Yes, no, this is what happened. That could be something you can post on LinkedIn. And I am trying to go as fast as I can. I'm going to give you one of my top tips that I use and one of my secret tips. When you sit down to write like dear diary, and then write your post. And then when you finish writing your post, get rid of the dear diary. So you might say, dear diary, today I struggled with X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. Or today I had a great day because I went to networking. If you then take away that dear diary, you've got a post written in the right tone, in a conversational tone, that will really appeal to people, instead of, you know, something that's quite formal. So that's quite a good tip to use. So I would recommend trying that. Just don't forget to take out the dear diary part you post it. So comments. True value in LinkedIn can often be found in the comments. So I love the comments section on LinkedIn. It's so much better than any other platform. There's no trolling, or very little trolling compared to like Facebook or similar. Leave comments adding to discussion. And you can share your experiences in the comments, talk to people, start having conversations. Quite often people will respond to you. It can lead to work actually. Never selling the comments. There's nothing I hate worse than I post something and all of a sudden someone's like, oh, well, if you need help X, Y, Z, here, I'm a business coach. You know, I had a rough couple of months last year. Oh, well, I'm a business coach. I'm here to help me, you know, drop me a DM, you know, or whatever. No, this is my post. Don't sell at me. You come across as desperate and spammy, and there's nothing worth. And I did get a bunch of DMs as well from those people, which really kind of wound me up. If they'd have come across, if they'd have said something like, you know, I'm really sorry I had a tough year last year, it can be really difficult, I'm here if you want to talk, I might have reached out, but I'm not going to reach out to someone who's using my misfortunes to promote themselves to other people. That's just wrong. And be careful when it comes to adding links to comments as well, again, because it can look a bit spammy, unless of course it's an article. Oh, you know, you're having trouble here, have you seen this article? This might interest you. I'm almost there. If you also, another good comment, and this is actually not one of my tips, this is a tip from LinkedIn that I've stolen. If you start writing a comment and it goes longer and longer, consider turning that comment into a post of its own. I've done that a couple of times. I've been writing a comment, telling somebody about my experiences, you know, relating to them. I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to turn this into a post. So I have, and then I've tagged them in it because it's content and it's something else that you can include. In terms of making sales from LinkedIn, you can make sales. It's definitely possible. I've made sales on LinkedIn through content, without spamming, without direct messaging. It's all about, you know, getting yourself out there, putting yourself out there. It does take time. Sometimes it will happen straight away. Sometimes it takes months. Has anyone ever had any sales directly through LinkedIn? Yeah, so you know it can happen. And I think it really depends on your business, but it definitely happened, and that's why it certainly shouldn't be an area that you avoid. So I'm trying to get through this. So, final thoughts. LinkedIn, fantastic tool, as I said before. It's one that there's a lot of potential with it, and I think a lot of people are a bit scared, a little bit intimidated, because there's not a lot of information out there. You go on YouTube and you look up Instagram or Facebook, there's millions of videos, but there isn't as much around LinkedIn, and if there is, it's all about getting jobs and posting your CV, and I think that can sometimes worry people, but it is a really great platform if you use it, and it doesn't require as much effort. So I've got 500 followers, just under 500 followers on here, but I always get a hell of a lot more reach, impressions, comments on here than if I post on Facebook and Instagram. Even if I can get bigger reach on them sometimes, but people aren't really looking. Whereas LinkedIn, people actually do read it, they take notice of it, and they follow you, and you get connection requests. It just seems to resonate with people more compared to other platforms. So yeah, if you have any questions, happy to help with that as well, so please give me a shout. Just a tiny little bit of quick self-promotion for my very last slide. I've decided to launch a little experiment, a little training course on LinkedIn, a 6-week training course. I've got a handful of spaces for people who basically need help with LinkedIn and want to be walked through it with their hand held, basically given, so a 6-week course First week would be filling in your profile whilst I basically sit there with you and other people in the same boat, and I help you through it and basically tell you what to put in and help you come up with ideas. So it's a little bit more sort of one-to-one coaching compared to just leaving you to it. And then it kind of goes on from there, more content ideas and so on. So that by the end of the 6th week, you're more visible, you're more practice using LinkedIn. So if anybody would like to be involved in that, you can sign up to my waiting list and go from there. That's it, thanks very much. Sorry.